Warning, spoiler alert. The following video will contain spoilers from the season 2 of The Flash, and especially the episode The Darkness and the Light. If you have not seen these episodes yet, and you do not want anything spoiled or ruined for you, stop watching now. For everybody else, hey guys, Dave here. Doing a little thinking after this week's episode, The Darkness and the Light. Of course, everyone's been wondering about the identity of Zoom, and a lot of questions are being asked. Well, as the show progresses, we're starting to get more and more clues as to the possible identity of different things, or at least in my thoughts. Eventually, we're going to see the pieces of the puzzle add up, but we're already starting to see certain things. Iris finds out that her mother, who she thought died, actually had a son, and the writers even confirmed that that son is going to be Wally West. He's not going to be the nephew to Iris anymore. He's going to be the long-lost brother. Now, this is kind of contradictory in some things, because in the New 52, there was another Reverse Flash named Daniel West, who also was Iris's brother, who also turned out to be evil because, well, he was abused as a kid. And I started looking at the history of the Flashes, all 75 years of it, and I started realizing that part of the reason we're having a hard time picking out who Zoom is because, well, he is an amalgamation. Just like my shirt here is an amalgamation of several DC heroes, this Zoom seems to be an amalgamation of several different types of the Reverse Flashes. Now, hear me out here. Now, I've got some ideas I'm going to be running by for theories here. And now, we're discovering a pattern. One, we saw that Barry described when he was struck by lightning that he felt connected to everything at once, which tells us that even at that moment he felt connected to the Speed Force, even if he didn't know what the heck it was. Iris finds out that she has a long-lost brother from a mother that was a drug addict and probably not the best parent, who actually almost let her die at one point. So that's something. Now, couple this with also the big realization that this is not necessarily the Earth 2 Justice Society we're used to. It's not even the Earth 2 that we're used to from the DC Comics more recent storyline, Earth 2. This is a mix of things. There are some things that are alike, other things that are different. This is its own universe that is fantastic to explore. I mean, heck, in this universe, in Earth 2, Atlantis is above the surface, and one of Jay's best friends is from there. Is that a reference to Aquaman or someone else? We don't know, but the writers are having fun with this. Part of the reason they said that they didn't want to make Wally the nephew was because usually in different TV show seasons they had, oh, here comes Cousin Joe, or here comes Uncle Fergus, or whatever. And they didn't want to do that, so they thought that this would be a more organic way to bring in Wally. And I started thinking about Wally's past, mixing in with the fact that in the comics, Iris's brother, Daniel West, actually shares something in common besides bloodline and name. You see, early on in the comics, Wally West's father was abusive and alcoholic. Part of the reason why Iris helped to take Wally away was to get him out of the bad influence of that. In the New 52, Daniel West, Iris's brother, was in fact abused by her father. Now here's the thing. Iris's mom apparently is different from Daniel's. Apparently her father, who in this universe is William West, not Joe, was... Daniel's mom died in childbirth, giving birth to him. And William was abusive and took it out on Daniel, even in some cases Iris. But Daniel got the worst of it. Now, Daniel and Wally are marked by both levels of abuse and growing up on the wrong side of the tracks. Let's take a look at Linda Park of Earth 2 compared to Earth 1. Yes, in the comics we know her as the eventual love interest of Wally West. And she's a great journalist in her own part and a very cool person. Well, in Earth 2, apparently something happens. Linda does not become the great journalist that she is right now, and instead becomes a thief to survive. we know that things are different in that world, that there is different economic things that happen. There was a War of the Americas that Jay had mentioned. Everything seems to have more of a retro-futuristic vibe to it, which means their economy may have had some tumbles, but is getting better. So that could be something to look at. All it would take is a domino effect of Linda not having the right opportunities and having to feed herself by stealing. And then she gets exposed to the particle accelerator and becomes Dr. Light. All it takes is a bad moment and everything else can change. See, that's a pattern in The Flash. It's a pattern in the Flash from season 1 with Barry's mother dying. It's a pattern in Flashpoint about trying to change those things. Wally and Daniel have been both abused in the comics, but managed to, thanks to help, Wally was able to outgrow it and become one of the best heroes we've ever seen. Where Daniel was literally the reverse of that and became a speed thief, trying to take the life and power from other speedsters to build him enough power to go back in time and take out his abusive father before it all started. So yeah, it involves time travel, trying to go back in time to fix what you perceive was wrong. These are all things that have been set up. Now, here's why I think it's been so hard. As I said, I think that it's a possibility that in this Earth 2, it's kind of hard to figure out who Zoom might be, but in my opinion, this is my theory, the writers, since they're changing Wally to be the brother and not the nephew, and we already know about one brother in an alternate reality, I think that it's quite possible that the Earth 2 Zoom is an amalgamation of the dark past of both Daniel and Wally West. And there's also a precedent for this. In a storyline called the Dark Flash Saga, Barry's been long dead and Wally's been taking over as the Flash. Wally eventually married Linda and had a great life, and there was a big incident involving a criminal organization named Cobra, with a K, so it's not G.I. Joe. But Cobra almost killed Linda, but Wally came back to stop it. In another alternate reality, Walter West, who didn't go by the name Wally, did not successfully save Linda. Because of this, he became darker. And his costume actually became darker. It was a dark red, actually similar to the color that Barry's wearing right now in his outfit, to be honest. And he became more like, imagine the Punisher with super speed. He was not as funny or happy. He was brutal at times, and he also manipulated Speed Force to, in fact, Jay was trying to keep up with this dark Flash running around one time, and there were some robbers that actually were shooting at someone. Walter West ran right by him, and Jay was ticked off that he didn't even do anything. Turns out what Walter did was he actually used his control of the Speed Force to absorb the kinetic motion out of the bullets so they would just drop. And he left them essentially for Jay to take care of, which he did. Now, Jay's lost his power to a speedster. At least that's what it appears to be. We're not entirely sure how or why, but that seems to be the key. That's a key clue there. The Reverse Flash, Daniel West, was also a speed thief, taking speed energy from beings so he wouldn't have enough power to go back in time and change something. My theory is, imagine on Earth 2 that, let's say Iris died, but Wally or Walter or even Daniel West was born. Now the mother might have died, or maybe Joe was abusive, or just that Joe left and he got even worse because she never forgave herself and took it out on the young, West boy. Let's say he gets in a similar situation. He grows up on the wrong side of the tracks. He doesn't have any positive influence, so he's ready to use that to harm other people. And let's say he gets into a lab accident similar to what happened to Barry and Jay, only instead of going into a coma like Barry and Jay did, what if he was hit by that lightning and his heart stopped? What if he in fact did have a near-death experience, died, and part of him went into the Speed Force? The whole thing that Barry said about being interconnected with everything at once might give him a Speed Force vision of other realities or other speedsters. Maybe even the face of the Black Flash essentially the Flash's or any speedster's equivalent of their own, Grim Reaper coming after them. So, with that, something happens, and unlike the downtime that Barry and Jay had in the comas, he came back relatively quickly after his heart started up again. He got his speed going, he started to learn how to use it, but he carried something over with that, maybe a vision of other speedsters, and realizing that if time could be manipulated, if you build up enough speed, maybe you can go back in time and fix it. So, without access to a particle accelerator, or maybe not even a full knowledge of kind of physics, that he starts to find other ways. And just like Daniel West, the Reverse Flash, his way is to cannibalize speed from other speedsters, becoming the fastest. Now, this would explain a few different things. Now, Hunter Zolomon, Zoom number 2, actually was someone that was tapping into the time stream that was trying to make Wally better. He wanted to fix a problem in his own life because that he felt that it could be fixed, but Wally wouldn't do it. He wouldn't go back in time and fix that problem. And he got mad. He tried to fix it himself, but then he started to hurt Wally to try to make him a better hero, to teach him that tragedy could actually help make him a better hero, which really was screwed up. But if you look at it, that's been a theme that's already happening in The Flash, regardless of who's under that mask. So, it's my theory that he had a near-death experience and is building up speed to try to fix something. Maybe his moment in time where he perceives everything went wrong, just like Barry did. Or maybe even something with bigger ramifications. What if he's going to try to go back in time and stop the particle accelerator from detonating at all, meaning no metahumans? But if the portals from Earth 2 and Earth 1 are linked, what if this would also have an effect that if Zoom is successful, then none of it happens. There wouldn't be any metahumans, and that timeline would be erased. This could be a big kind of a two-world event that could be really dangerous, and that could be what Barry's going to try to lead up to fix. But it's also possible that if this young West boy is in fact, you call him Daniel, call him Wally, call him Walter, whoever you want, if he actually is this, maybe he also isn't just doing it alone. Maybe he brought something back from the Speed Force with him, a dark entity. Now, remember, he's got these black eyes. It's the CW. If he's got black eyes, he's probably possessed by something. So the body is this young West. Call him Wally, Daniel, whatever you want. But there's some other force driving him. So, it could be the disembodied ghost of Eobard Thawne. In the comics, during the trial of the Flash, Eobard Thawne's ghost actually did possess a juror and tried to set Barry up to, essentially be found guilty and he suffer for it. I know it's weird. But it's either him, maybe it could be Savitar, another evil speedster. There's Dr. Edward Claris. There's a lot of different evil speedsters out there. The body may be the young West. It could also be a mix of that and a speedster, an evil speedster that's also influencing him, whispering him in the ear, telling him that he has to be the Reaper to get all that speed necessary to eventually go back in time and fix what he thinks is wrong. Now, look at The Flash. It's all about if you could help somebody, this what-if moments. If you could fix this one crucial moment in time, would you? He's already learning that time travel's a mucky thing to try to play with. But an alternate reality version? What if he finds out that this guy is a young Wally, or could be Wally West, and his Earth 1 counterpart is in fact Wally? Wally doesn't have, maybe he isn't quite as screwed up as this Walter or Daniel or Earth 2 version. And after they stop Zoom, they find out about this young Wally and want to try to help him. Barry feels like if he can guide him to make sure he never goes down that dark path, he can become just as great a hero as Zoom was a villain. And not to mention, if he is in fact possessed, it could also be the big Deus Ex Machina as an excuse that, well, it was the body, but if he wasn't fully under control because he was being possessed by something, then that's an excuse not to fully blame him. Just the same way that this Wells, on Earth 2 isn't the same one that they absolutely despise, so you have to look past that. Barry is all about hope. If you can try to fix a problem, fix it. And I think that's the way that the writers might be setting this thing up for. So it's my belief that this guy might be an amalgamation of the darker possibilities of Wally or Daniel West that grew up in an abusive thing and essentially went dark side after going through a similar accident and possibly even being possessed by an evil speedster. I know it's a lot, but these things happen in comics, so it's not completely unheard of. So, yeah, I know it's a mouthful, I know it's a lot to wrap your head around, but I try to think about the way writers would work here. Now that I'm starting to get a vibe, pardon the pun, I think that might be how they're going for it. Now, of course, I could be very well wrong. Also, you might want to take a look back at my video, the Flash 52 Portals theory. I have some very interesting theories about that as well, and I think that the way things are interconnected, it's worth a peek. So, what do you guys think about my idea about the possible identity of Zoom? Please like, comment, subscribe, share, pass this bad boy around. I want to get a discussion going. And do you think that this Zoom is effectively an amalgamation of Wally West, Daniel West, even a vision of the Black Flash? That's why he looks like the Reaper of Death? Please, let me know what you guys think. Until next time, Dave signing off. Peace. Yum yum.